This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. In Bret's book, he writes that Vince McMahon phoned him one night and told him flat out that Hulk won't put you over, Bret. Is that how you remember it?
No, I remember it as a discussion in the dressing room, but he could have phoned him. That definitely could have happened.
Tell us about the dressing room.
No, I'm just saying that I believe that at a television in Vince's office, I believe they had that discussion. And whether or not Vince called him at night, I don't stay with Bret 24 hours a day, nor Vince. So yeah, that definitely could have happened.
Tell me about Bret and his involvement in his creative. Is he coming to you or Vince or Pat or somebody and saying, hey, here's what I'd like to do? Or what about this? Is he pitching ideas, or is he just waiting on you guys to bring stuff to him?
Well, from my vantage point, Bret waited a lot on us to bring things to him. And Bret could be, very much in the vein of, I don't think that works. I think I should just beat him.
I'm just thinking, listen, we both think of the world of Jerry Lawler. I mean, what a performer, not only as a commentator, but as an in-ring performer, not just in the WWF, but what he did in Memphis for decades, as a promoter, as a performer. I mean, just an unbelievable talent, but he ain't Hulk Hogan. So, hey buddy, I know you're disappointed that you're no longer champ, but we're going to let you win King of the Ring. Yeah, you got to work 3 matches, but we're going to make you King of the Ring. And then we're going to put you in a program with Jerry Lawler. Is this to placate Bret? I mean, he is a legend, but it's not quite Hulk Hogan. And King of the Ring's nice, but it's not quite the WWF World Title. Is this just a way to keep him in a good spot? Keep him happy? Talk me through the creative and how we pivot to Jerry Lawler.
Well, I think it was the best story that we had at the time. It was Bret coming off of the WWE Championship, creating a new, basically, title, not to be defended, but to be the king in Bret Hart. And we had recently started doing business with a guy that had called himself the king his entire career in Jerry Lawler. So I think that Bret kind of looked at Lawler as, this guy worked Memphis. Okay, great. He did business in Memphis. That's one city, one market in a small state.
So he's going into King of the Ring with an injured ankle. He being Bret, pronouns pal. Was there any concern that Bret wouldn't be able to go, or was Bret a gamer and he'll find a way to rub some dirt on it and get through?
Yeah, I don't ever remember Bret complaining about being injured. So that may be something that he had that I don't think anybody else was really aware of.
Interesting note in Bret's book. He says that he wrestles 3 times here. We'll run through those matches in a moment, but he wrote in his book that Pat told him not to use the sharpshooter for any of the finishes. Do you know why?
Yeah, to be different.
Talk to me a little bit about Hulk Hogan. It makes the newsletters, the Torch and the Observer, that I guess effectively Hulk Hogan sniffing around again. Is he reaching out to the company because he sees this as an opportunity, maybe where he could, I don't know, have some value, get a big payday for himself? Or is Vince starting to worry, hey man, do we have the star power here that we need for 1993?
Well, I don't know about the term Hulk sniffing around. I think that, first of all, Hulk and Vince have always had dialogue. Even when Hulk was in WCW, Hulk and Vince always had dialogue, good, bad, or indifferent. There was always discussions and there was always talk because, there was also a friendship there. It was sometimes a love-hate relationship, but there was a relationship and a friendship there that, Hulk was always looking, what you got, brother, no matter who it was and where it was.
I get it. It's a wrestling podcast, but he's saving us money on our mortgage. Do you really trust this process? The reviews don't lie. 5-star review after 5-star review. We make it fast, we make it easy, and it's no cost or obligation. Give us a shot to earn your business. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did, especially if you like keeping more of your own money. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket. So what are you waiting for? Hurry to savewithconrad.com. What we've talked about a lot in our archives over at somethingtowrestle.com, maybe one of the most heated debates we ever had was the program between Bret and Hulk. Of course, it was all hypothetical, but check out Hulk Hogan in 1993 if you want to hear more on that. But at this point, Bret's the top guy, but quickly Hogan starts being promoted as the top star for the upcoming WrestleMania, because anytime Hogan's making an appearance, it's going to be the talk of the promotion. So he's coming back. Do you remember Bret having a concern that Hogan was coming back, or was he excited thinking, hey, maybe this is a chance I can work with him as a single?
A little bit of both. I think that Bret was excited and looking forward to the opportunity to work with Hulk. And then also, I think there's a little bit of, we didn't really know. Okay, great. Hulk's back. Hulk's back for WrestleMania. And at the time, in the very beginning, there wasn't a lot of, we know that Hulk's going to be here for the long run, and is, the much debated, which people don't seem to understand. And I'm not even going to try and explain it for the 100th time, of bringing Hulk back and what we did with Hulk. I think Hulk was always looked at as a short-term deal. So
Bret's going to start working Yokozuna on the house show loops, and I'm sure they're doing this to, make sure their WrestleMania match is tight. Do you remember hearing reports on any of those house show matches?
Yeah, I mean, there was chemistry. Rodney was excellent, and Bret was the type of guy that could work pretty much with any adversary and make it look good. So it was all positive from that vein.
What do you remember the original plans being for Bret here? The rumor and innuendo, and we've talked a lot about it, is that we were going to wind up with Bret and Hulk at SummerSlam. Was Bret always scheduled to win the King of the Ring tournament to build to that?
Pretty much. The thought was, in many respects, as you're looking at it, you had Bret, but as we got closer to WrestleMania and you're watching Yokozuna and you're hearing these reports and you're seeing everything on the live events, it's like, man, we haven't had a heel champion that is a threat in forever. And the thought was, if there was ever a guy that you could put the championship on, that would be Yokozuna. That would be a real threat. That was a nasty heel. That was an unbeatable heel. It's like, how the hell, how do you get him down? How do you pin him? How do you beat him? And that was kind of the thought process as we were going through. There were just so many things. Okay, do we have Hulk? Do we not have Hulk? Well, Hulk wants to make his farewell tour in overseas and all that shit. What do we have? And there was a lot of unknown. There was a lot of uncertainty because Hulk wouldn't commit. And Bret wasn't, setting the world on fire either as champion.
So Bret wrote in his book a lot about one day in the locker room on the way to WrestleMania. I'm assuming when they're doing these house shows, he has Yoko just lay down so he can see, is it possible for me to even put the sharpshooter around these gargantuan tree limbs here that you have for legs, or tree trunks, in fact. Anyway, he can. So he feels like, all right, I'm getting my shit together. I'm going over. And he also wrote in his book that he had no idea he was going to drop the title to Yoko at Mania until the night before, and he was crushed. Of course, the match itself goes just under 9 minutes. And it gets 3 stars. Of course, Mr. Fuji threw salt in Hart's eyes. Yoko's going to cover him for the pin. And then we know what happens. But Bret wrote in his book that Yoko blew up and cut off Bret's spots and went home earlier than they had originally discussed. And as a result, Bret is furious. Do you remember talking to Bret about the match afterwards, or was the conversation strictly about Hogan?
Bret was upset. Look, no doubt about it. Bret was upset. And I don't remember when when Vince had the talk with Bret. Probably was the night before, because we hadn't really made the decision until the day before. So there was a lot going back and forth, and is this the right thing to do? What should we do? And I think that Vince going with his gut, we did what we eventually did. As far as the match going shorter, that was a timing issue, and nothing more, nothing less. The show had gone long, and we were at a point where, to make sure that we got everything in, that some of the time was cut off on that. And they got that midway through, and that was a Vince call at the time that, let's go. We got to go, because we got to make sure that we get everything else in.
I don't think even Bret knew that. I think Bret still to this day thinks Yoko cut it off. But you're saying it was communicated to the referee.
I'm telling you, yeah, it was communicated while they were in the ring. Yes.
So it goes to the ref. The ref tells Yoko. Yoko tells Bret.
We didn't have IFBs at the time, but yes, we got the cue to the referee through timekeeper and let them know that we need to go, and we need to go now.
Got it.
So that was a call from us, looking at it and going, okay, here we've got X amount of time. Probably debate as to where that time should have gone, but at the same time, hindsight being 2020, you got to be careful, and you've got to make sure that you get everything on the air back in those days, because at whatever time it was, you had your 3 or your 4 hour window, and you had 5 minutes. You had to be off at 5 minutes before the hour, so that they could rewind the tapes for the replays. It was an antiquated system. It wasn't digital. It wasn't the way that things are now. It was a completely different world in which we lived. So you had to hit your times, and you had to get things off, early is preferable. So that's why, we kind of rushed the match, and I regret it, because I think that Bret could have had a hell of a match with Yoko. And he has had great matches with Yoko.
Bret also wrote in his book that he felt like this was Yokozuna's best match ever. Do you agree with that? That perhaps this was Yoko's best performance?
Up until that time, yeah. I think Yoko had a lot of great matches, frankly.
Well, it's all a backdrop to Hulk Hogan coming out, and this is Bret's first time main eventing WrestleMania. As I've told the story before, I made the call to my friend, "Hey man, who won, Yokozuna or Bret Hart?" "Hulk Hogan." "Wait a minute. No. I'm saying for the world title, like who's the world champion? Is it Bret Hart or is it Yokozuna?" "Oh, Hulk Hogan."
So let me stop you there.
Yeah.
So as a fan, since you didn't see it live,
right,
did that not make you want to see it?
Yes, it did.
See what happened?
It did.
Okay.
My point is, Bret had to be devastated and feel like his chance at the top, because he's always painted the picture. I was a loyal soldier. I was the best performer. I never missed any matches. I never hurt anybody, et cetera, et cetera. I was over like Rover, did everything right, blah, blah, blah. But as soon as I get going, they yank the rug out from under me and give it to Hogan again. That was at least the way he has expressed, in a roundabout way, his feelings in the years past. Was it all over him at the time? Was it just written all over his face? Was he bending your ear about it? What do you remember?
Oh God, yeah. No, Bret was definitely upset. Bret, I think looked at it as a lack of confidence that, okay, man, here I am, I'm going, and now they're going in a completely different direction, in an old direction at that. Not realizing that it was temporary. And yeah, man, he's in a big spot. He's got his family there. Everybody's there, basically in his eyes for him. And I think that would be a kick in the gut to anybody, just to go out and you're presumably at the top of your game. Definitely in his career at that point, that was the highest he'd ever gotten. So yeah, he's looking at it. This is major. This is the biggest deal that he could possibly imagine. And boom, somebody else is walking out. Got people all over Alabama calling their friends saying who won, and his name isn't the one being mentioned. It's not even the guy that was in the match. Yeah. Man, that was kicking the nuts to him.
In May, Bret wrote in his book that he does the photo shoot with him and Hulk playing tug of war with the title to build to SummerSlam. And this has been something that people talk about to this day. I know you weren't at the shoot, but anything else you can add to this? Because people are listening right now with bated breath.
About what? I wasn't at the shoot. I remember the shot, but it was one that we definitely were looking at and hoping to get. But beyond that, I think that it was never promised. It was never guaranteed. And it was simply something that was discussed. And I don't know that even at that point that it had been thoroughly discussed with Hulk and or Bret. Mentioned, yes, but hey, here's what we're going to do. No.
It's kind of ironic that the next pay-per-view is King of the Ring, where Bret is going to be relied on to do 3 long singles matches and then eventually become King of the Ring. Meanwhile, Hulk shows up with the belt, does a job to Yoko in 7 minutes and goes away.
Well, there was a mysterious photographer at ringside, and as we have researched, this took like about 35 years to research and find the real answer. And it was a Japanese photographer that from Gong magazine that actually planted that fireball in his camera to burn Hulk and blind him.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.